Good afternoon. Whilst it gives me great pleasure to be here today, I wish to apologize in advance for the incessant cawing of a crow that has been outside my window, I think from the time I came into office. So, apologies in advance. Let's move on. On the last occasion, I gave you a brief introduction as to the importance of innovation, especially with regards to the trajectory of Sri Lanka and where it stands economically at the moment. We spoke about the three storms that Sri Lanka has been facing over the last couple of years, starting with COVID-19, where most of our companies were forced to innovate. This was followed soon with a drastic economic downturn, where most of our companies were once again forced to innovate because there was a significant shortage in essential items such as fuel and electricity in the marketplace. We also spoke briefly about Sri Lanka's standing in the global marketplace and the threats that Sri Lanka may face in time to come with regards to price relevance or relevance in the marketplace. As you know, Sri Lanka exports several commodities, several goods and services, but we also compete with economic giants across the world that have the ability to leverage on economy of scale and thereby sell their goods and services at a much cheaper standpoint. The question thereafter that I left with you is, how is Sri Lanka then going to compete against these giants who can sell at a much cheaper price point than Sri Lanka? I brought up the example of America and how it competes by leveraging on intellectual property and innovation. And I strongly believe that that would be the path Sri Lanka would need to take in order to compete in a global marketplace. But the question then arises, is it easy to innovate? Most people have accused me saying it's easy to preach that innovation would be the way out of this situation, but it's not easy to do because innovation is expensive. Before we go into the expenses concerning innovation, whilst I respect that to be a very pertinent question posed to me, I think it's important to realize, to get an understanding and grapple with what it takes to innovate. What is it that you need in order to innovate? Do you need a team of researchers? Do you need a patent attorney on board in your company? Do you need a scientist in your payroll? What does it take to innovate? A CEO with an innovative mindset, what is it? I believe, frankly, if I'm to answer that question, innovation is really a process of questioning, and it starts with a process of wanting to innovate. And I believe the first step to innovation is actually a paradigm shift that anyone can innovate. And that what it takes to innovate, more than any of the things that I mentioned above, is a want and desire to innovate. And a want and desire to find solutions to problems that exist in the marketplace. With that in the background, let's go into the importance of innovation. Why is innovation so important? I believe there are many reasons for it. We spoke about how innovation gives you an edge in the marketplace. Let's deep dive a little bit further into that. First and foremost, innovation, I believe, creates novel goods and services. And by the process of innovation, you're able to create more goods and services to the marketplace. Now, if one is to talk about economics, you know how markets can be saturated. And markets are saturated with so many players in almost every different industry. Now, what innovation I believe and what's the importance of innovation, especially in a global marketplace, is you're able to supplement the market with a product that is different, that has new features, more novel features, so that it is more receptive to a captive audience. So, in my humble opinion, the first important characteristic of why innovation is important is that it creates novel goods and services. If one is to take an example that you see around, cars with novel features obviously have more demand. AI solutions is something now that the whole world is competing. Social media has seen several innovative changes over the last couple of years. It is a very turbulent business environment, but companies that innovate, especially in social media, have been more successful than companies that don't. Even if one looks at a simple thing like fashion now is full of innovation. Be it the knit of a fabric, be it the materials that are used, there is significant innovation that goes into textiles. Now, Sri Lanka, you can see that, and that is one of the reasons why textiles in Sri Lanka has been able to compete in a global marketplace. The second important reason for innovation, I'll say this is one of the more fundamental reasons as to why we should innovate, is innovation creates solutions to problems. Now, if one is to look at the marketplace, the marketplace is full of problems in terms of problems that are requiring solutions. Now, during COVID-19, we had the problem of transportation, getting to places. So, as a result of that, there were several tech solutions that were brought about that were adopted almost immediately, such as Zoom and Google Meet, which had a significant advantage in the marketplace, and it was immediately adopted because it provided a solution to existing problem. Another reason why innovation is so vital is that it drives demand in the marketplace. The world is craving new and more novel products. Countries that are able to produce new and novel products can drive demand towards their produce. The same applies to companies. Now, I'd like you to ask yourself, look at the companies that you represent, how often have you innovated? How often have you changed the product portfolio that you produce to the marketplace? And does it need evolution? Does it need change in order to drive more demand to your business? Another significant reason why one should innovate is that by use of innovation and by use of intellectual property, which I will speak later on in this YouTube channel, one can obtain exclusivity in the marketplace. Now, this is possible through various types of intellectual property. But let's talk about patents for this, for the moment. Patents govern inventions and protect inventions. And if one is to obtain a patent, one can obtain 20 years of exclusive use of that solution in the territory on which that patent has been applied for, which will give anyone that will innovate a significant advantage in the marketplace. On the next occasion, let's dabble a little bit more deep into what does one need to do to be innovative and to provide more innovative goods and services to the market. But if one is to recap this episode, we spoke about the importance of innovation, especially with regards to staying relevant in a very turbulent global marketplace. I look forward to having more conversations with you on the subject of innovation as we move along. Thanks for your time.